Okay, now we are ready to go. So, thank you very much for coming. This talk is called Chaos League Collective, an Underdog story. Is the story of the group where I belong, the collective I do LARP with since many years. You will have an overview. I will try to be quick and not boring. I will go through a bit of how we start, when we start, and a selection of LARP we did so far. And I'm Alessandro. I always use this picture because it's one of the coolest I have in my life. I was 13, was probably one of my first LARP, and I think I look so badass. So I cannot get rid of this picture. And so, also, if you have questions, please raise your hand and I will try to answer on the go, because I will try to not make that long, but since I will present LARP, if you have a specific question on this LARP, stop me and ask on this LARP, because after explanation of other 3 LARP, you will forget, of course, the question. So let's try to do that more interactive. So, before to start, and I would like to add a bit of context. Everything with Chaos League starts with a huge mistake, okay? Yes, a misunderstanding in the pure sense of what a misunderstanding is. I came from a very leftist family, okay? But like really a lot. Both my parents were activists in the Communist Party back in the day, so thank you, Mommy and Dad, for explaining me who you really always have to stand up from on the right part. But as a kid, there were also downsides in this family. The first one, toys were very not welcome at home. Because only educational ones, because other ways, subliminal capitalism will like convince me and my brother that, you know, we need to consume, buy all the time. So also no TV, very small TV show, but there were a cool rule, which is you can have all the books you want, because books are always good. So me and my brother was like, the only shop we can go was the bookshop. So I want this, and this too, okay? So basically, this was the rule. And during this massive random buying, we bought by pure chance this role-playing game, which is Das Schwarze Auge, uno sguardo nel buio. It's like German D&D, let's say, okay? It's a fantasy role-playing game. I think in Italy was published in 85, 86, something like that. So yes, I was 6 and my brother was 9. He was the GM and I was the player. We played just me and him all the time, every night, because no TV. So you tell a story. So basically, we started with that, and then in school we managed to convince some friends, and we started this group together. So was some years after, 1992, when I was 12, and we gathered some friends and we founded Chaos League. And the name is really from the 90s, as you can imagine. We never changed it, but it's really old school one. We found that like, it was like a great name, the Chaos, you know. And so, other bit of context before going to description of some LARP. This is my own town, where I do live right now. I left when I was 18 because I didn't want to finish my days. It's such a provincial town. I want to discover the world, so I went to study abroad, and I went to work abroad, and then I did all the tour, and now I'm very happy to be back here. But at the time, in the early 90s, it was still, nowadays, it's not famous city, it's not rich, it's not dynamic. When somebody say, you're from Italy, yeah, and they have in their mind Florence, Bologna, Firenze, Naples, what town? Pescara. Where it is? Somewhere on the East Coast. And then they are very polite, they say, I see, but they don't know. Clearly, but I don't blame them. So, now I can like the fact that it's by the sea, it's quiet town, but in the 90s there were not that much to do, and also were infamous for being a big hub on heroin dealing. So there were a lot of drugs going here and there. So we had to choose between the two activities, and we choose LARP. We make you spend more money than drugs. It's more addictive than drugs, but it's more fun. It doesn't kill you. So we went into that. So I say that as a joke, but on a more serious perspective, we didn't want just to do nothing in this town. So for us was also a way, we did a pact, okay? If we don't like reality, let's do another one. And maybe in this other society we create, in this other world, we will find tools to have more fun or more things to do also in real life. So really was something we did consistently. LARP saved us from boredom, some danger, and this is why I will describe you LARP's design, great adventure, how much we learned, but all came from that, still nowadays is a way to impact your life. So this is what we wanted. So we started, this is pretty much all the phases or the different stages of Chaos League development. We will go one by one through all these retro historical perspective I tried to do about me and my group, what we did. So we started the first year, the first 3-4 years. What kind of LARP do you think we did? Yeah, where? What location do you have in mind? No, we're underaged. No castle, no money. What? Yeah, in the woods, of course. No, in the forest. Yeah, let's do that. So we started that. We came mainly from tabletop RPG scene. So Fantasy in the Wood was the greatest idea. We say, oh, this is an amazing idea. I have to tell you also that we never LARPed. We didn't even know that there were other people LARPing in Italy or outside the region or in the entire world. We believe we were the only one. We discovered this cool stuff. Wow. And then we discovered that there were other people saying, oh, this is interesting. So about the LARP of this first Stone Age, I don't have clear memories. I remember some small pieces of adventure, some quests, some story. Probably they were not good LARP, but they were important LARP, important for us, for what we learned. So I remember the excitement, the sense of discovery, and also I remember, something about some quests, fights, campfire, being your own hero. I remember going all together by bus to the location because nobody had drive license, and there were no structure in the location. So we went already dressed up as fighter or mage in the bus. And the old people that were going in the same, interior area of the region were like, "Are you okay?" But we were more than okay. We were the hero. You don't even know. We are going to save you, but you will never know because this will happen in the hood. So this was how we start. So I also remember the social stigma and also how empowered I felt thanks to my friend and what we did. So it was a classic fantasy LARP, but I clearly remember we already have a strong focus on role play, immersion, realism. We banished all the rules that seems to gamist to us or to copy paste from the tabletop scene. And then I remember 1996. I remember that we did our first fantasy LARP based on Tolkien, and so we say, but Tolkien is not all about fighting and slaying. It's not exactly like D&D imaginary. So the idea was to have a council. All the free people will meet. It was like more about politics or path. And then we had one idea that was, I think, the first step for us to go in a more complex kind of LARP. Those LARP was for 30, 40 people, something like that. But whereas it was an isolated region. There were no internet at the time. Oh, I feel old, but yeah, it is. And we came up with a rule. We say how we can do this political game without people beating or killing each other. Because in a LARP, what you do when you have an enemy, you try to kill them, of course. So we come up with this rule. We say you can come to this LARP. You are very welcome, but you cannot fight. And people were like, oh, come on, you will prevent me to actually do the thing? No, just don't do that. You are not allowed to do. And some people were like, oh, what I'm going to do? Talk. Huh. talk. And then they say that the most funny thing was, okay, I cannot fight, but can I bring my sword anyway? Yeah, just to show it. And so this is what happened. This rudimental technique help us to focus on interpretation and play your character and perceive your goal and your character arc. So this was mind-blowing. Now I see how elementary it was, but for us it was a big step at the time. So then, yeah, this was I already went through this slide. Then, number 2, chapter 2, new exploration. We saw that this LARP turned out very well for our expectations. So say, so you can do a LARP without fight. Let's go further. So once we were doing a scout location, some of you already know the story, I will try to make that brief. We were doing a scout location inside the region. I was 17, so the older one get a car, so we can just randomly buy the region and look, which is still a good way to find location, because the location for Eclipse, we exactly found that way, going randomly by car and see, oh, that looks cool, let's go. Exactly this way. So we found an amazing village that was amazing because it was like good state, but there were not people living there. So there were a possibility to renting one house and mainly having all the village for you. But was very not suitable for a fantasy LARP. It was like in the 40s, you know, this kind of thing. And we were very like, oh, what we can do with this village? It's amazing, but doesn't look fantasy at all. And then someone say, oh, so let's not do a fantasy LARP. Oh, are you there? What a blasphemy. There can be a non-fantasy LARP? Oh, yeah, why not? We role-play Call of Cthulhu at the table. It's not fantasy. So we had the idea to play an historical, but of course Cthulhu-related LARP in this village. So does it mean that we remove, and this was the first big step, this is why it's another chapter, we remove all the rules. We say we don't need points, we don't need magic point, we don't need nothing. You are someone from the 30s, and you are a normal people. So everything was normal. Of course, there were moments of supernatural stuff, but the player have nothing special, nothing different from a common human. And so this also made us put more focus on things that usually were not a thing in the LARP before, because if you cannot do supernatural stuff, you want to do stuff anyway, you have to focus on things you can actually do. If you want to play hard things, have to do hard topics. For example, for the first time, one character, commit suicide during the LARP, because the horror was too much. And this player, this friend of me, Pierluigi, invented play to lose for my region, at least. We're like, what are you doing? You are killing your character? You want to lose the game and say, yeah, but you know, it was too much. So, whoa. And you still have fun? A lot of fun. So we discover we can play on strong topics, suicide, madness, horror, and also we can be immersive. So play with the lights, with the sound. And so this was very important to us. So from this LARP, we move on, and some years later, we did this other LARP. Okay, I always say, I'm always behind my slides. So basically, the LARP we did in this, I have some picture from this Cthulhu LARP. So this was the LARP I was talking about. Yeah, very, very classical setting, okay? And those are some of the pictures of the time. You know, this one, this one, this one, this one. This was the village. It was very cool. It was all for us. But it was not fantasy. So I was like, okay. And this was empty. This was one of the NPCs, and these were 2 players. So this was all for us. And so... And then after this LARP, we say, okay, let's move on. What we can do? We enjoyed the realistic side so much. We say, okay, let's do another LARP, but let's remove this supernatural thing. Because the most fake thing. What we like was the interaction, the real thing. And we invented, for us, because it was already a thing, of course, but you have to have in your mind that for us, everything was new. Everything was us doing it, because we have no contact with anyone at the time. So we invented historical LARP. So this LARP took part in Middle Age, real Middle Age, no fantasy, no supernatural thing. Maybe some superstition, but everything was super, super clear. And we had also a very good location for this LARP. It was an actual, I don't know how to call that, where when you go, you want to stay alone in the mountain praying God all the time. How do you call that? Yes, an hermit. Was very hard to get it. So I will say that on the camera, after 24 years, nobody can punish me now. For the Italian law, everything is now forgiven. To having that, we have to talk with the local priest. That was one of the evil men on this planet. It was like, we're like a bunch of guys say, can we play on this location? No. Okay. But if you ask to my superior, maybe he will say yes. I say, we will force you to say yes. So we went to the higher priest of the region, and we made up a name that was not Chaos League, because Chaos League. So the name was the Pelican. The Pelican, is that the bird? No, the Pelican. Okay, we are the Pelican Association. We want to do that in this. And then we understood that church have a problem with the word play and game, because it's not serious. So we said, we want to do an historical reenactment. We are so Christian that we want to go there and live like they used to do, and pray all the time, and stay together, and be close to God. I know it's not good to lie. I will never say that right now, but at the time was our idea, a bunch of kids. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, why not? And then in 2000, in Italy, there was the Jubileum. And so our point was, we don't want to be like these people that only go to Rome. It's like Christian tourism. We are like Christian, hardcore Christian. We want to get this. And then the guy was like, yeah, and what about... now I understand, said the priest. The pelican is, I didn't know at the time, is like a symbol of Christ. Yeah, of course, the pelican, of course, because it's Jesus Christ. And they say, and then we are almost done, and then the guy say, where are you? What church are you going? And then we were completely destroyed, because me and my brothers, because of the family, we never have baptized, never went to the church. I don't know anything. And so we turned to the third one that was with us, that used to be raised smaller, like Italian average Christian stuff. And he say, San Marco Church. And then the priest, yeah, is the priest, Giovanni is still there? Yeah, he say, yes. And the other priest say, I thought he was dead. And my friend say, yeah, it's terrible, he's dead, no, don't tell. So basically all these things, and we got the location. So things you do for LARP. And then basically we have our monastery, a real one abandoned, and we play our full historical, no supernatural LARP, and we get to immersion, to philology. We went through the old medieval text, and we play it. Because all the players pray priests. So we need to learn about stuff. And we pray in Latin. From the outside, we really looks like a sort of bunch of hardcore Christian, but it was not. Some of the picture. This is Pierluigi, who invented the play Toulouse. Now he was a priest. And this is me, and the other is my brother. And also we experienced some very immersive stuff at the time. For example, we pray all the night long when one of us died. Really all the night long with all the thing and stuff, and we respect the vow of the silence after the sunset. So thing that allows you to embody that a lot. So it was a very strong experience to us. And then we say, okay, now we know historical stuff is the thing. So now you will see the next 3 or 4 LARP are all historical, because we say, oh, this is very interesting. So another one was this one, Villa Verde. You can go through to all the information. Basically, it was a twisted clinic for rich people in 1953. The first was our first 2 tires LARP, because you can play the patient or you can play the doctors in the clinic, the personal. So we also have this idea that you can have different group and different experience. That was new for us at the time. So I was trying to providing different experience in the same LARP. And also, at the time, we play a lot with the historical facts, plot twist, very historical and very related to the Cold War. So we play it in historical moment. No, we discovered afterward. No, but Villa Verde is the name of, is the Italian translation of a movie of Hitchcock. I can't remember the name in English. Is the movie when they are at the restaurant and somebody do a line on the table. I think, but it's called Villa Verde. So this was the idea. But then year later, we went. They offer us the location where Pasolini shoot the movie The 100 Days of Sodoma, which is a very strong one. So we are thinking about doing it or not because it's a very, very strong location. So basically, we play that, and this is one of the picture we have. So the doctor and the people that are, the patient of the clinic. Then we went to our first prison LARP. Oh, what about the prison? Cool. So 2004, we did this prison LARP. As you can see, every year we did a different LARP. Because at the time, we went that way. Every summer, I was 24 at the time, so I was studying abroad. So everybody was like, life when you are 24. It's not like you are 18. So we used to meet all together every summer in Pescara. And usually we spend the month of June going to the beach, doing stuff you do at the age. After a month, we are so bored. We say, oh, come on, let's do a LARP. Let's do something. So we use, all these LARP you see are made in 2 months. By made, I mean the original concept, finding the location, do the production, write everything, was in 2 months. And we work from the morning to the night just to escape our hard reality. But then we play it. And every year has to be something new. Because also the idea of rerun stuff was not really a thing at the time. We did, for example, the first Cthulhu LARP, we did runs because we wanted just 12 players for the emotion, for the atmosphere. So we did 2 in a row. But the idea of taking a LARP you played 2 years ago and do it again was like, come on, it's so stupid, and now it's a thing for everyone. Come on, doing 3 times the same LARP, it should be boring. No, it's not, but you don't know unless you find it out. So this was our prison LARP, let's say, and also was a way for us to start to thinking about torture, power structure, biopolitics, all these kind of things. So it's clearly a LARP that tackles themes that you discover when you are at the university. Biopolitics, Michel Foucault. So we put all the things we were studying in this thing. So this is also very, very nice for me to see how these things grow up with us. And the more you know, the more you are experienced, the more you study, the more you put stuff, and the more LARP is like your friend that is growing up with you. And so this was our thing. And this was, at the time, one of the most rough LARP, let's say, and was our first experiment with space design. Because, you will see in the picture, we didn't have a real prison. We had a structure with rooms and stuff, but was not a prison at all. So we say, how we can do a prison LARP in a space like this, which is not a prison? There. And then we invented, once again, but we didn't know at the time, tape LARP. We say, this is not the classical prison. Here you can see there is a yellow and black tape, We say this prison is an experimental one, so they put a microchip on you. So this was the fictional thing. And you cannot walk outside of this line, otherwise you die. And we put lines, so people were forced to follow the line, and they cannot escape, okay? So this was, for us, brilliant at the time, and we managed to have a prison without having a prison. It was the first abstract thing we do in a LARP. It was abstract, you cannot, this is tape, but in the fiction, this is something that can kill you if you cross, Okay, we were not sure, of course, whether people will like that, because it was clearly not what you see is what you get. So we had to invent, you know, by the fiction, yeah, you have this microchip, you cannot remove blah, blah, blah and stuff. But also in the middle of the night, the second day, the lights went off. We did it by chance, and they were free to go. And then the lights turned on again, and you had to rush to go in your place, because otherwise you have like 20 seconds before the machine kills you, because the microchip is giving you like horrible stuff. So this was our way to experiment with that. Then 2005, Neo X. This at the time was an amazing idea. Now it's not more an amazing idea, because it's a LARP about a pandemic. At the time it was like, cool, a pandemic, everybody is dying. No, now we won't do that again. We don't rerun this LARP again, of course, at least not for now. And so this was a LARP about a pandemic before pandemic was cool, or uncool maybe, and was also another moment where we put more and more ethical and political themes in our LARP. Because in this case, there were a selection of who can survive and who cannot, because of limited amount of resources. So we cannot save everyone. So basically, everybody went into this facility where they go through examination, and somebody will be discarded and somebody will be escorted somewhere safe to go on and rebuild humanity. So there was this hard moment where you have to prove that you are valuable to be saved, and maybe do that against the other. Okay, so this was one of the main theme of the LARP. I have some picture, this one, and this one is when you get sick and then you die. Also was one of the LARP where we start play with death. I mean, your character can die, because the rule, the unspoken rule in the LARP I just show you is you cannot exactly die, because we already understood that there were no point in kill your character in such kind of game, where if there is no combat, if there is nothing that you can do, just kill you in a LARP where you mainly talk, I will just cut your story arc. Here we say, guys, be careful, because if you are not careful, you can get sick and then die, and your LARP will finish 1 day before, or 2 days before. Okay? Of course, there is a lot of silly, crazy story about every LARP. I will just try to go fast, but this one I really have to tell you. I don't know why it's still about religion, but in another way. Because then again, the structure was an old monastery, because my region is full of this kind of thing. So we went there, and everything was cool. Then we did a night scene that was in the woods, in the surrounding area, and one of the organizers have to go in a cave far away from the location, because the player have to sneak out at night to go through in the night to this person to receive mysterious information and then come back. And they did, and the scene was fabulous, was amazing, blah, blah, blah. Then everybody came in, and we just clearly forgot about the NPC. So we said, okay, the scene is done, the timeline for night is done, goodbye, we closed the door, and we went to bed. Half an hour later, to give time to the player to go back, our NPCs was going back and try to open, and there were no way to open. So the monastery was really in the close to the mountain. There were no way to get in, basically. There were just this door, and the door was closed. And he tried to knock, nobody, because we were all sleeping. It was like 3 in the morning. And the guy said, what the fuck? And also, fun fact, not really fun, he was almost naked, covered with like some sort of fur somewhere, because he was now like sort of caveman. And so he was like freezing and alone and there and nowhere to go. So he put himself on just close to the door and started to sleep. And we forgot our poor Michele. But it's not all the story, because the morning after, a group of nuns come to pray in the monastery, because there were a miscommunication, and nobody in the village said to the nuns that the monastery was rented for some activity. So can you imagine the bus with 35 nuns going to the church, and then there is a guy almost naked sleeping in front of the door, and they start screaming, ah, ah, and Michele woke up. It was even more scary because why are 35 nouns, and they were screaming at each other. So we heard the time, we ran there, and the noun was like running into the bus and just go away. And Michele was like, the fuck, so, what are you doing? You forgot me. Yeah, going. So, poor Michele. But he's still alive, he's still fine. He's a very good drummer, so love you, Michele. I hope you don't hate us again. Okay, so then we move on another thing, our chapter 3. We call that the Land Trilogy, but then again is a name we found backwards, because we get stuck for some year, 3-4 years more or less. We discover backwards that we wrote 3 or 4 LARP about the same theme without knowing, 1 year after the other. And this theme was the land, was a place to build utopias, was always the story of a community that need to build a community in some place, and we belong to this place. And so it was like community building in-game and community management in-game with some external forces that try to take your land off and destroy your community. So basically, were this idea of this utopian society be menaced by the outside world. Okay, so all the LARP I will present, or the 3 LARP I will present, are about that. So it was a series of LARP where land was crucial, was a place to be conquered, a place to survive. The first one was this one, the Black Hand, 2007. This was an historical LARP again. I think all of these 3 are historical LARP. Yeah, this was our historical LARP period. So it was, in this case, in Italy, this part of Italy where you have Trieste, the extreme northeast, during the First War was really, really something we wanted, and the other, was very, not we, because I don't care as nationalists, but yeah, all this land was very between Italy and former Yugoslavia, so there were a lot of stuff. So we say, okay, what about going, the Black Hand is the name of the association, or the group, where Gavrilo Princip belonged. Gavrilo Princip was the guy who shot Francesco Giuseppe who started the First War. So we basically play the camp where this guy was trained, okay? So we just imagine that this guy was trained in Italy. Was not true, but this was the only thing. All the rest was true. So it was a slightly Uchronia, let's say. So, and this was the LARP. So basically, was an explanation of the start of the World War I. So a group of Italian terrorists at the time, historically called that way, wanted to fight the Austrian Empire. And this surprised us because this creates a very strong sense of community, of loyal or betrayal. It was very strange, LARP, because basically you were a group of terrorists, but when you play that, you sympathize with that. And we discovered that by games you can do things that are not entirely all morally acceptable, possibly. And also we discover if you propose something to the player, they will play on that. They will trust you. And by trusting you, they will maybe end up doing things you don't think are right. So we discovered the responsibility you have as a designer, the power you have as a designer. It's very easy through game, through embodiment, to communicate, to social game, to make acceptable things that are at least, let's say, questionable, or we can discuss on that. So we discovered that because we were unsure, where will people be okay in playing someone who is basically planning a terrorist attack? Yeah, they were. And they say, oh, but they are good people, we know them. Why they are so easily slipping into the shoes of a group of terrorists? Because the fiction allows that to do. So this was our main achievement after this game. So we went to something completely different, but still historical, still on the land. This was our group of terrorists before the game. This is an out-of-game picture. Okay, so then we did that, the Phalanx theory, which was based on the text of the Utopian Socialists of the end of the 19th century, like Michel Fourier, Blanqui, all these guys. So once again historical, 1836. And in this game, for us, was very important because it was really about a community, really about living in your land, and was the longest we did so far, so it was 5 days. Okay? Then we did another run with 6 days. And also, for us, was also important at the time because we say, okay, but if those are the premises, there is no exactly place for quest, plot-solving stuff. So what we will do? Slow LARP. Now we will call that possibly slow LARP. Live your life as a community. Create your relationship, do your work. The community was self-sufficient, so people were working, doing agriculture, some other were like pouring the water, some other were like, creating a fence. Do what you feel, okay? This is the box, have fun. There were some narrative element, but really was about that. So, was the longest LARP we did so far, and was this utopian society working together, truly equal society, and we were immersed in the nature, and there were a lot of freedom from players. And players like that more than we expect. We were full of fears, 5 days of doing nothing. But we say, let's try it out. Let's try that. And it worked. We'd end up not only play on drama, and they were in a real paradise. They really had fun in the LARP, or it was like, oh, fun, okay. And after this LARP, this was so intense that the player went to the mayor of the town, because once again we play in the countryside. Oh, this was me. I played my first homosexual character, was this one, because gender theme related in this lab for us was also a discovery, because if you read the text of this Utopian Socialist, they are talking a lot about equality of gender, for example. So we experienced for the first time gender theme related in a very small way, but thinking that playing an homosexual character, there were the first nudity in the game, because if you are free, nobody can judge. Some player went to the shower totally naked. There were no negotiation at the time, so we were just shocked, but then say, who cares? But this was the land where we work all today. And then you do the laundry all together. And those two were the two houses, the small one and the big one. At the end of the game, people were so attached to the land, they went to the mayor of the nearest village and asked if they can buy the house and start to collect money. And the mayor was like, what? 30 new inhabitants? And they say, if you do that, I will reduce your taxes to 0 for the first 3 years. They were like, yeah! So they didn't do it in the end, but they were very, very close to do that, because also it's a nice place in the countryside. So this was our lab, and this was a picture of part of the community. Yeah, lab photography at the time was not at its peak, let's say. Then, same location, the year after, another historical LARP. This was the name of a hotel. And then we say, we spend some, we say, what about, we did another longer LARP, and something very interesting come from, we learn by this LARP. As you can see, there is a lot of things that were already a thing at the time, but elsewhere, or things that were not already a thing. But we did it our own way, for the good and the bad. In this LARP, we experienced what now is called clockwork LARP. At the time, we didn't know that was a thing, because the setting was, you are running an hotel in Italy during the war. So we wanted to tell the story of a group of normal people during this wartime, where not everybody is a soldier. So there are still things going on. Restaurants were open and working during the war, and schools were open. I mean, real life stuff happened. There were experienced severe moment, but still there was a thing. So we say, okay, it's an hotel. And then you, as a player, you choose what is your work. Are you a barman? Are you a cook, waiter, the manager, whatever? So every department have to work, and they have to work together to have a functioning hotel. And then we need customer for this hotel. And we call random people, our friends, family, friend of friend, and say, do you want to spend 3 days in a hotel? You have to pay nothing, and they will be, they say, yeah, you just have to dress up like in the 40s and just pretend you are not yourself. And so this was so cool. There were people going here and there on a daily basis, like a real hotel, because the LARP was 5 days, and maybe you can do just for 2 days as a customer, come and then go. And then there is another one. You do the check-in, the check-out. And people were like, it was a functioning hotel. We're like, whoa. So people can do real work into a LARP and not get bored, even get rewarded. Yeah, we discovered that, and we say, whoa. And so this was what we discovered with this LARP. I think I have some picture. Yeah, this was a moment of doing nothing, and this was a picture at the end of the LARP. Okay, then let's move to the fourth part of our journey. This part is now some aspect can be problematic with today mentality. I would just ask you to imagine that this was a bit like a psychological experiment doing in the university before the ethical committees. So we were exploring. So some things we will never do it again. Some things are a bit too much, but was for us important to learn that. We play, the thing I can say, we played that with mainly people we knew in the audience, I mean, as participants, so there were a sort of unspoken safety net, but still was a bit probably too much. But anyway, our idea is let's do pervasive LARP, or let's do LARP that mix up with reality, blurring the line between fiction and reality. So we went very interested in this concept, playing in the real world. And we come up with this, this basically. LARP penetrate your everyday life, and you play a character immersed in people that don't know you are playing a character. This was the first one. This was, at the time, one of the craziest projects we did, because this game took part in UK, okay? So we say, you know, from 1992 to 2010, we played not even in Italy, in the same region, our region. And then we say, okay, let's try something different. And some sites say, close to Rome? No, Somerset. And we went straight. We rent a location in the Somerset, but we didn't say that to the player. We say, okay, let's go, we will play a LARP this summer. Yes, of course, as every year we do. And then, I don't know why, this is very stupid to say that, we say to them that just a few days before the LARP was cancelled because Alessandro broke his legs. So I have to spend 1 week at home to not be seen around the town. I still hate my co-organizer because I lost this week in the summer being inside the house because I just went out at night to not be caught and try to do that. So the LARP is cancelled. Everybody was like, oh no, so sad and that. And then we started a sort of pervasive game without them knowing, and this pervasive game ends with an information which is a time and a place to be and a date. And this was London Victoria Station. So just some days before, the player had to buy their tickets to go to London to play the LARP. And then in London, we rent this big bus. The bus, you get into the bus, and the bus with no NPC inside, just the driver know the direction, drive for 7 hours to the Somerset in the actual location. So you go through 2 weeks of pervasive game and then all these things to finally get to LARP in the actual location. So basically it was in 2 parts, Italy and UK. Yes. So we called them and we basically harassed them a lot during these 2 weeks. The first thing, we called them and we recorded the phone call. And the phone call was just to have their voice, and then, you know, blah, blah, blah. Basically, we record the call, and then we call them back and let them to listen to the recording, like we are spying on you, okay? Now you do what we want you to do. And then in the middle of the night, they receive SMS, call, call from the fake police, and then we start following player and photograph their house and then put the picture in an envelope and send them like, I know where do you live, and then ask to their friend or family to do random stuff. Like I remember we called the parents of one of the players, say, can you please steal something from your son for me, it's for a game. And they were like, yeah. So they were things disappear around their house, and then we called them and say, stop to do that, but of course they didn't. And then in the end, we send them boxes, we send them in the middle of the night somewhere to meet someone, and we send them money to take the train trip to go to another town to find another player of this kind of thing. So, and then they start to understand that was a game in the end, because there was really a lot of stuff. But then after all this, you get to this. Our first castle LARP. This was a small castle in Somerset, basically. And then while in London you discover you have a character, and you have to play at this character, and then it became a full LARP. A LARP which is still pervasive, because in this LARP they have 2 rented houses, car, where they have to go around the region, play with people and stuff. So we spend basically a weekend to actually play the LARP there. And after that, the player was like, are you crazy? They were super excited, but of course, this was also the interior of the castle, and there were quests and hidden clue everywhere. This one, the Gaddafi was a thing at the time. We discovered that was a dictator way later, because also for Italian was very easy to have Gaddafi as a friend. But this was just a random paper, so don't mind about Gaddafi. This was the cracked code inside. So you have to collect of the letter, and because it was a spy game, basically. Okay, so. Then we say, it's cool, this thing of travel, going here and there, playing in the real world. So remove the barriers. And then we went to this other LARP, The Secret We Keep. This LARP has a very complex story, because now it's played in Italy. It's a weekend-long LARP. It's not pervasive. It's in an old monastery. We run it again in September and October this year. It's an intimate story of a bunch of orphans that used to grow up together, then they split for 20 years, and they are back because, and of course, secrets and stuff will happen. But at the time, we say, we like the fact that doing that in England was great for player. I have to say, we played in England, but was an Italian LARP with Italian players playing in Italian. They were not a thing for us in 2012 to play in English. We didn't know that Nordic LARPer existed or international LARPer at all. So this LARP, we say, okay, we need to play, we still want to play among people in the town. And we want the story of this group of friends to felt like really they are isolated from everyone. It's just you, and nobody can understand you and your story. We want to do that, so we need a place where you cannot understand anything about what they are saying, and vice versa. And also, we had this idea of this group of friends with this melancholia, this faded color, because it's this kind of story, like a Ingmar Bergman movie, So let's go to Sweden. And this is what we did. So we took all our players and we went to Sweden, of course. Why my slides are not working? Sorry, we'll try to do that again. Sorry, everything blew up. Okay. Yeah, I will try to get the picture later, but yeah, I'm so sorry, but yeah. No, they are empty. But if you ever haven't been to Gotland, imagine Gotland, because we play on the Gotland Island. And the first day of the game was on the Gotland Island. And there were this, for us was like, oh, this is the moon. What's that? There is the sea, but there is not sun. There is a beach, but there is not sand. It's summer, but nobody is at the beach. Oh, great, let's do that. And the first day was on Gotland Island, Maven, which is a small village close to Visby. And then the day after was on, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce, Faroe Island, where Bergman actually lived. So every day we went on a different island, smaller and smaller, sadder and sadder for us, and alien to us, because we want to talk with this story about this alienation. And you discover what happened to your friend who died 20 years ago on the actual Ingmar Bergman Island on the beach. And I think we discovered bleed in this case. I mean, what it is, because at the end we were really, really, really emotional about that. So this was our thing. And also we want players to create, we also discover in our own way co-creation, because all the LARP I presented so far to you had no pre-written character at all. There were characters, but characters were wrote by players, because we went from the fantasy tradition where you wrote your background, okay? In this case, for the first time we say, no, because we need relationship. You know, if you play, you know, the pandemic LARP, you know, it's like a facility, everybody can get there, and you have any kind of possible person. It's not a thing in game, your relationship. Here, you used to be my best friend, you used to be my enemy, you used to be my girlfriend, and whatever at the time. So we need that. But we still didn't have the idea that you can write character for the other. We didn't know that was a thing, and some of us proposed that, and we say, it seems too much scripted to us at the time. So we say, okay, let's the player do that, but let's guide them. So the idea is we create this living background mechanism. So everybody posts on the website their picture as a kid, where you have like 6, 7. So you have all the faces on the website. You can click on everyone and write stuff on them. I remember you being this kind of person. And was the yes and. At the time, we didn't know that yes and was a thing, so you have to say it's true. And you have to build on that and create something together. So basically, everybody did the character for everybody. That way it was collective, and it was transparent. We didn't know this term at the time, but we were blown up by how cool it was. And also how effective it was in the location. Because while LARPing, with this netto relationship, the game was very, very emotional. Now it's clear that it's a technique to have player get emotional if you create before-end relationship. But we didn't know at the time. So this was the idea, and was also a lot of a challenge for us as organizer, because we are organized a LARP abroad, and also there were, for the first time, I think it was the Nordic influence, there were meta techniques, because we say how we can make people remember what we want when we want. Now you have millions of techniques to do that. But at the time we say, okay, and we use smell. We say, what is, at the time our idea was, what is the sense that is strongly, more direct, have more direct relationship with the memory, probably smell. So we give player list of smell and say, when do you smell that, you remember that. So they have this small list, and they were like going around, and when something happened, piece of memories come together, and then they can put the story together. This technique is still used in the LARP as we play today, not only smell, but pieces of story come here and there when you go around in the location. If you play first, the secrets we keep right now. Now we play close to Florence. It's less melancholic, but still a lot. So then we went to this other phase of our journey, we're about to close. Don't be afraid. As always, raise your hand and ask question if you have any question. So, chapter number 5, community LARPs. So in this case, what was the center of the game was the community. Before was the community and the land. Now we remove that is the relationship, what the magic circle, what the group of players did. The first one was New Atlantis. Okay, this one. We did it in 2014, and also we did an international version in 2017 that was our first international LARP. Full of very funny story I will tell you about, because when you want to organize your first international LARP, you think that just translating material in English will make your LARP international. No, you are very wrong. But I didn't know that. I said, okay, Italian, now is English, is international. And then we discovered different background, different play culture in the art way, let's say. So the LARP was 5 days, and the idea was severe shortage of water, so was this ecological theme, and so this group of people managed to find a spot where there is still a bit of water available. But this water come from the dam, which is very close, because the location had a real dam. Gigantic one. In the fiction, we were basically milking water from the dam, because the bad guy, the corporation, the only one who managed to have a safe life at the time, were the owner of the dam. But this dam was like spilling water, but like not that much, but for us was enough. So the idea, we asked to the player to use just 1.5 liters of water per day. We knew that was not enough for someone, so we had plenty of water. And if somebody needed water, we give them. But we asked the player, try to play on your limits. Reach the limit and then stay there. Don't go further, but don't stop before. Just try to align your stuff. And if you play in August in Italy, 1.5 liters per day is not enough. If you have to drink, to wash your clothes, wash yourself, wash dishes and glasses, and so basically the community have an amount of water and have to decide how to use it. So you want more water, you will have less. Why you need more water? Because I'm more useful for the community. And you say, no, I am. What are you doing for the community? I'm a hunter. Yeah, but I am an intellectual, so without my idea, you know. So we say that the community have to manage themselves, the resources. And then, what about, for example, you steal something? Okay, so you are a bad person. What we can do? We put you in prison? Yeah? Not working and just drinking our water? Okay, let's force her to work. What? Really? We want to go that back in the past? We want a new community. So this was that. And also there were a lot of people that, a lot of play that were self-generated by player. For example, we put some books in the location, like those are the only books the humanity have, like 5 books. They start to do copies and writing of the book and take turn. And at the end of the LARP, they managed to copy 150 pages book, 30 pages for every people. Okay, so we were we discovered this sense of the communal play. Okay, and also, we did once again a pervasive part before the game. So we created this web radio. That was the web radio that was telling you, prepare you to the LARP. Instead of give them all the setting all at once, every day this web radio was like reporting what's going on in the world. So it was a fictional news, radio news, that say, today is that way, today that way, that way, that way. And then we asked them to invent something based on what the radio say. So what is going on in your hometown? And you can say, in my hometown now there is riot in the street because there is not enough water for everyone. And then you had the build-up. Also in my hometown, so can we meet? So there was this online game where people like create the setting together based on the prompt we send to them. The radio is still going on. We have music and stuff going on from time to time. We add stuff. And then people, through this forum, start to... but maybe slideshow is better. Oh no, the current one. Okay, this one. Okay, they start to put picture on the internet by protesting with the water shortage, which was not a thing, but they believe, so they put picture, they did protest and march in their own town, real life. They start to do graffiti. This one, graffiti on the wall. This Atlantide movement existed for some months in Italy, in different towns. But they were, for the people, were someone reclaiming water, so they were even, oh, okay. And then we start to do that, and then after this online part, we actually went to the location to play our post-apocalyptic LARP. And this was the community working together, and also was interesting for us to discover spatial, oh God, these slides are completely fucked up. I don't know why. Okay, old picture, so I will. Anyway, we had two different locations, quite far, one from the other, like 20 minutes walking. And we want player to explore the whole location. So we say there is a drone surveillance system, and you have to be there at that time and there at the time. And so we move people into the space by surveilling them with real drones. So I learned how to fly a drone, which is a cool skill in your life, so I still can fly a drone. And they were basically escape from the drone. So it was a seek and hide, but on a simple level. But on a more profound level was our first attempt to do spatial design. We need to, because then in these 20 minutes people were like talking, and we say, why talking? Do your relationship. So we create space to do specific action in game. So this was New Atlantis. And then we did the most hardcore Pervasive LARP we ever did. So this is also the last one we did. This was 5 days long in Rome, in the actual, one of the central, San Lorenzo, which is one of the central neighbor in Rome. And we say we were inspired by the Fisher King from Terry Gilliam. And we say now you are going to play the Camelot Night in Rome. They were like, really? What kind of setting it is? And the idea is all of you have a problem in your life. You don't feel your life is true anymore. So you decide to abandon everything, your work, your family, and you are all alone. And though this was the starting point for all the participants for this lab, it was for 90 people for 5 days in the heart of Rome. And we basically live like hobos in the town because, okay, that was our hometown, okay? Was an abandoned customer warehouse, okay? Custom warehouse, so the goodies were checked. Now it's empty. We talk with the owner, we say, can we do strange stuff there? Okay, pay me, I don't want to know what is going on. So we did it, and those pictures are all in-game picture. We were really in the middle of the town, and the idea is, what about living like Camelot Night in the middle of this terrible concrete part of the town? And this was our space, and this is where we slept. And then the night from Camelot have a moral code, 10 points. They start to write that on the wall. The owner was not happy at the end of the LARP, but who cares? To not forget, because they knew that before the game. Instead of learning, they found more funny to do that. And one of the most important thing is, one of the first, I promised to never lie to anyone, because a knight never lie. Helping the other, I mean, a lot of very good stuff. If you do that in your life, you are a very good person. But some are very hard, because it's very hard to not lie in your life. Never. Not embellish things, just say the thing. Maybe in Finland it's more common. In Italy, we really don't like truth. We have problem with that. And we also find that truth is rude. So you need to embellish in some way. But they try to do it. So they try to be pure in the rotten heart of the town. And also we say them, you are, please, this was possible disaster, but it didn't happen. Try to over-interpret everything because the town is talking to you. So they were allowed to go around the town, which is a big town, follow the sign. The sign can be a graffiti on a wall, or can be a commercial that say, come here, and then people go there. And in the end of the LARP, there were one of the players who say, who in the organization was playing the drunken oboe? No one? Come on, who was? No one? I spent 1 hour talking with this guy. Yeah, it was just a person there. Was not part of the LARP. Yeah, but I was telling him crazy shit. He was answering me the same thing. Yeah, because you were on the same page. And I was like, whoa. But in the end of the LARP, yes, it's funny, it's comic, but in the end of the LARP, he spent 1 hour talking with an oboe. How many times you did in your life talk with these invisible people? LARP make him do that. It was very, very grateful, and I found that very enriching to not forget anything, to go around your town with all your senses open to try to interpret reality instead of just go your work, your home, your family house and stuff. So this was the idea, and it worked well. They create their own Camelot round table. They meditate. They did exercise. They did any kind of thing to be prepared to be a good night. This was the round table. They create their own round table. They found black hoodie, and they say, this is our armor, okay? And they put that all around the town. Yeah. Then they were to a rave party, and there were a guy with this mask as a rabbit, and they start to say, this is a sign, let's follow them. And they followed the guy that was just a random guy. We went to another location, this location. They say, is that location playable? Yeah, it's abandoned, so they went. And this was a scene where they found this was an NPC. They found an old knight. This is Lancelot, basically, about to die as an old man in Rome. And then, of course, also strange things happen. For example, funny story. Just in front of the location, there were a squatter where some anarchists were doing protest. So the police arrived, and they arrive in the middle of the road, and they have the anarchists and then us. And to their eyes, we look more dangerous than them. Because we are all dressed in black, which is the color from the anarchists, by the way. So they went the wrong way, they went to us. And they arrived, and there were players. Players thought it was like the NPC playing police. So they arrive and say, what's going on? They say, we are Camelot Knight. Policeman was, sorry, what? Yeah, we are protecting the town from the evil snake. Okay. The guy was, okay, now you really should stop. I say, no, please, is it really that? You want to visit our Camelot? The guy was like, and I saw the scene, and I never ran so fast in my life, because I knew, so I covered these 50 meters like in 3 seconds, and to arrive to say, and then I have to explain to a policeman that are putting their stuff, because they were starting to, they want to beat us, basically, because enough talk, now you have to leave. And they were like, we will never leave Camelot. I say, no, you leave, and you have to explain what LARP is super complex. Do that in the middle of the thing where you have the player and the police that want to arrest them, and you have 3 seconds, say, no, it's a LARP basic, you dress up for adults, and but it's... And then luckily, the real anarchists throw a bomb, and they went to there and said, oh, come on, fuck it, good job, comrades. And then they went there, but it was a very tense situation. There were helicopters all over the place, and the helicopters were disturbed by us, because we say, In all this symbolism, you have to free the black bird to call the other. And basically they found black balloons, and they inflate the balloons, and they just send them. Very poetic. And the helicopter from the police could not see. I say, they are trying to sabotage us because there were the black balloon coming. So this kind of thing. So this was our last attempt to do this kind of LARP. Nothing went wrong, but was, of course, risky because we were experiment at the time. So then we move to this other LARP. 6030 is another LARP about community, historical LARP in 6030, no supernatural element at all. The idea is now, yeah, we played a lot about the community, but our community are in some way always positive. It's a group of utopian people that want to do something good. What about play about a community who is not a good one, where people are selfish, are evil, are ready to do anything to survive? So 6030 is the year where the Black Plague destroyed part of Europe, as you may know. So we say, okay, we play a community which is in this town. They, for some reason, are not attended by the Black Plague, and they want to do anything they can do in order to survive. So they don't let anyone come in. They are super selfish. We need to survive at any cost. The rest of the world, fuck the rest of the world. It's just us. We need to survive at any cost. And we give them 3 rules. One was never leave the village. The other one was never talk about our secrets. And the third one was family is beyond everything. So basically the group was divided in, the LARP was divided in families, and we play a lot with play structure, with power structure, and the possibility of survive at any cost, and also you have to deal with the other. If you don't like the other, you need the other. So in this case, was an utilitarian community, not an utopian community, and we played also on that. Also, LARP picture improved by the course of the time, as you can see, and this was our player and our Caravaggio style portrait. This time, black doctors and this was families. Was the first LARP who allowed kids, very small kids, because we get kids in the time, of course, so we want them to play. This was my kid played this LARP for the first time. Was the youngest NPC ever, was 9 months old. But I was for the snob family, and I teach him how to say to the poor. So each time he saw someone dressed in yellow, he said, I was like, yeah, good NPC. He had a lot of fun, of course. Yeah, and then again, everyday life and work, because you need to do also physical stuff in order to survive. Okay, now, last chapter, promise, is synthesis, I don't know how to call it. I mean, the present day, where we try to took the best we learned so far. So we still have to learn a lot, of course. So the first international LARP that gave us a bit of recognition was Bunker 101. So Bunker 101 is a sort of Fallout, loosely based on Fallout the video game. But there is no combat. What we took from Fallout is we are in the 50s, but in a bunker. Okay, we play in a real bunker, and once again, this was one LARP about community, the last one we did so far, but it's a thing that is very dear to us. So basically, we are underground since 1 century. We imagine that the third world exploded, and so it's no longer possible to live outside, so we need to be inside. And all the humanity is 100 people, the 100 players that play inside this amazing bunker close to Rome that was made by the fascists. Then fascists were not good at do anything, so they didn't even finish the bunker. So the Nazi finished the bunker, and then they lose the war, and then the American took the bunker for the Cold War, and then they abandoned after the war, the Berlin Wall fell down, and the bunker became property of the Italian army, and from the Italian army went to the Italian government. In the early 2000s, Italian government did what they can do the best. They say, we don't need it, fuck it, just close it down, and then just go away. when we enter, it's an entire functioning bunker with all the machine and all the stuff. I will show you the picture. They are incredible. And this was the community. This is the bunker. This is outdoor player. Some kids. These kids come from the, we have the permission to show this picture. There were an American family that was doing the honeymoon in Europe, and they reserved the last week to come and play the LARP before going back to the US. And they say, we are with the family. I say, okay, no problem. Bring it on. And then there were another, this is Finnish related, so maybe you can find that funny. There were a woman who say, I want to attend the LARP, but I want to come with my daughter, which is 13. I say, the rule we have so far for this kind of LARP is suitable if you are underage, if you are with someone who is responsible for you. So you are the mother, you want to come back, you to come together, both of you, totally fine for us. But I have to warn you, the bunker is dark, humid. I don't know if your daughter will like it. And she answered me, I don't care, I'm Finnish. You are just describing summer. Okay, come. So they come, they had fun. So it's not me make fun of them, they make fun of themselves. So I'm just reporting that. And this was the big computer that give you all the result that create the bunker. Behind every screen, there were an NPC. You put the code, and the guy give you the answer by the end. But we use the real code that was used in the 50s. So people are really to do all in the stuff, have to do the right way. Because, of course, all the people living 3 days behind that were super hardcore nerd. And if the thing is not good that way, they say, error, error, do it that again. And so, yeah. And also the computer as a way to talk. There were loudspeakers all over the place. And the player who played in this department were so dedicated to the computer that was called Marilyn at the time, like Marilyn Monroe, of course. And they spent, even they were the party, the ball, the prom, they stayed here all the time, stick to the machine. We tried to get them. They were, no, we are doing our job. And at the end of the day, was like 4 in the morning, this guy, which is the picture, finished the work at 4 after everything was clearly done. He was still close to the machine. And there were just me and another NPC stuck here because we cannot go to the bed because the guy was still there working with Marilyn. And then he finished the shift, going back, and just when he was walking outside the room, we let the computer speak and say, good night, Michael. And he says, good night, Marilyn. He shed a tear and went back to the... At the end of the LARP, he was like, how you can do it? They were in the camera. No, they were me and Michele here behind spying on you. Why you are not like the others? Say you don't want to go to back the ball. And also we played a lot about gender issue once again, because we don't have enough resources for everyone to have kids. So only some couples can have kids. You cannot be homosexual because we need you to have kids. You can be homosexual only if we think you are not suitable. So the discard of the society can do whatever they want, but the people high in the rank, they have to do that. So the ball was an excuse to find your partner and then force you to have kids. For the community, of course. And so this was, again, this was the president and the radio and scary moment. The explorer, because the bunker is, we play in this bunker, the area we can play is like 5 kilometers long, but there are probably 20 more kilometers, the owner doesn't know. But he say, you can go, so we can go explore. So we went, they actually explored, they actually found something, and we say that to the owner, I say, I didn't know. They found a theater. There were an hidden theater. The player was like, at the end, they say, in-game, they say, there is a theater. We say, yeah, whatever, player always over-interpreted everything. So we didn't care that much about that in-game. After the game, they say, why you use the theater only for a small scene, only for 3 of us? I say, can you stop with the story of the theater? He said, come with me, and he showed me the theater. I was like, I need to call the owner. Look, Gianluca, we found something here. and of course the work and the cool control room and more exploration. More. Okay, I will talk you about the last 2 LARP we did, 3 actually. One is Sahara Expedition. We had this idea. I will briefly tell you the story about Sahara Expedition. So we went to the south of Tunisia with my brother and our uncle and our family, and we found that amazing. And of course, if you are a LARPer and you saw a nice place, you say, what about doing a LARP there? But it was 1996, we say. For us, even go to Rome to role play was too much. So we say, yeah, wet dreams. And then the years after, we say, maybe it's the time. No. We asked this question for until 2019. And then we say, okay, you know what? Let's try it. Let's try it. We're not sure whether people will sign up because it was too much of a crazy stuff. So our communication strategy was super shitty because we were super afraid. So we basically did just a post with just this image on Facebook and say, we want to run a LARP in the Sahara Desert. 1934 archaeological expedition. Are you excited about the idea? So you don't have to pay, you don't have to promise anything, just say, yeah, it could be nice, I could join, okay? If we receive 40 people, we will try to make it happen. We send the post and go out for a beer. And then when we were at the bar, I received a phone call from another of the Chaos League organizer, and he told me, guys, you really need to leave your beer on the table and come home. What's going on? We received 2,000 sign up in 1 hour. We're like, what? And then we say, it's horrible, now we have to do it. You know, dreaming about stuff is way better than actually doing the stuff. Okay? I have a friend who was super in love with a girl. I say, Umberto, instead of just telling me how much do you love her, tell her. No, I don't want, because if they love me back, then it's a problem. It's the same thing, you know. Now we have to do it. And yeah, this is me. This was my daughter in game. And so basically we start to do it. And then we organize everything, and then we did the first 2 run. Then pandemic happened, and then we postponed, and so we played the 3rd run in 2023, and then we played 3 more runs. We played 3 more runs in April, and we will play 3 more runs in October. So 9 runs in total. Every run is 85 player, and also, yeah, those are in-game picture, okay? So this is the camp where we sleep. Those are the camels. I have a funny story about the camels I will tell you later, as you can imagine. This is the work because it's an archaeological expedition, so you have to do your excavation, interpret your findings, and walk, and then military, and then archaeologists, and then cartographers, and rituals, of course, and then general tend to decide where to go, and then people that see that there is a photographer in the area and they just pretend they don't see, but of course, Fabio, you saw the photographer, and then sacrifice, and then looking at the infinite, and so on and so forth. I have no word to explain the logistic nightmare to be the producer of this LARP. Really, I don't have the words, not even in Italian, because I will just give you two basically, very short story about that. The first one is people want to be paid cash in, I mean, the camel guy, I mean, people. So we had to bring a lot of cash out of Italy to Tunisia. And so we take all the cash, and in Italy you can have a certain amount of money, of course, I cannot remember, let's say 10 something. And we were, everybody in the group at 9. So we passed the customer, yeah, I have 9. Oh, what else? So we go to the security check in Italy, everything was fine. Then we arrive in Tunis at the airport, and then we were like, oh, we are so cool, like Tarantino gang. And then we saw you cannot enter with more than 5. We're okay, let's enter the country very, very slowly. And then we say no. Instead of risk everybody's life, just give all the cash to Alessandro. That way they could just bust one of us. So say, thank you guys, because I am the only one who speaks French in the group. So I say, okay, you can do it. So I have this bag of cash. Hello. And I pass to the nothing to declare queue. And I was like, but it was fine. And now we force them to receive money from the bank, because I cannot do that anyway. I don't want to smuggle money. I'm a university teacher. I already choose my career. My career in crime will be for another life, not this one. So this one. Second one, blank fire weapon. Don't try to get those from Italy to Tunisia, because then you can have problems. So we have everything set up. We pay all the taxes and stuff. Then we arrived. And of course, the weapons travel by car and by boat, not by plane. And I was, of course, among the people who travel with the hard stuff, because it's always Alessandro do that. Because I speak French. Never learn French. It's terrible. You're like, you never use anyway just to read Jacques Prévert and be busted in Tunisia. So don't do that. And then when he arrived, the guy was like, what are you here? And I was like, everything is super nice, prepared, I have all the permission, blah. But then I know the guy, since I come from Italy, I know when a policeman wants to be bribed. I was like searching actively for something wrong. And nothing was wrong, but he was really trying to. So I approached the guy and say, okay, brother, how much do you want? Please, I cannot spend all the time here. Do you clearly want special taxes? It was, yeah, special taxes, yeah. How much? And he was like, it's like, no. Can you look in your book if you can find less expensive taxes for us? The guy says, yeah, I can do something, but it was still too much. At the end, they said, okay, you know what? Keep it, fuck it, we will find another solution. So we left everything at the custom and we went to the country. So I had an afternoon in Tunis to find blank fire weapon, because the lab was about to start. 2 days after. So, and I start to go into to armory shop and say, do you have this? Apparently there is no blank fire weapon in Tunisia. They don't have this idea, because in the lab there were 20 soldiers. We need rifle for the soldier. And then a guy say, look, I don't have what you want, but I have real one. Say, yes, what? But I can give you that for the price of the fake one. I say, yeah, but, and then say, what's the problem? Just don't put the bullet in it. I say, are you crazy? You want me to go with 20 real rifle and then give to my international player, this is the player, and then come to the safety area and you have a real rifle? So I say, no, it's not an option. The guy was like, are you stupid? I am proposing a good bargain. Yeah, I'm not gonna doing it. And they say, what about the permission? South of the country, nobody will ask you. So we say no. And we went to the village, because you have to travel way from Tunis to go to the last village, which is called Dus, is where you pack all your stuff before leaving to the desert. But it's a small town in the south of the country. So I say, guys, we have to say something to the soldier. They don't have any, I don't know, let's find a solution. And then I was speaking to that, and there were a guy at the bar who say, do you need fake weapon? I say, yeah, but fake. Real fake. No fake real, okay? And the guy said, there is a guy who is the owner of an amateurish theater company. Maybe he have something. So I went there, and of course you have to be on the same page with the locals. You cannot say, hey, I know you have this. How we can that? Sit down, take a coffee or take a tea, and then another one. Who are you? Where are you from? Do you have kids? You want to hear the history of my life? You don't? I will tell you anyway. So it was a long, long history. The guy showed me the picture when he was a young street artist in Paris in the 70s. And then we discussed politics, because he said, I used to learn to Jean-Paul Sartre. Say, oh, I have read Jean-Paul Sartre. Oh, and then we spoke about existentialism, you know. But I just needed the fucking gun. And then in the end, I managed to have that. And the payback, they say, I will tell you, but I will give you, but I don't want money. What do you want? Because it became cringe. No, I want a computer, because my computer is done. So we had to format one of our computer. We give that to them, put Windows in Arabic, and then now they have it. And they have to go through that. Every time I do a run, because I have to go to the guy that give me the gun and discuss about politics and philosophy. But last time he did something, he said something very wise to me, because it's always, on a human level, is incredible. It's funny, but it's also deep. He told me, I like when you are here because you are like the migrant birds. I say, what do you mean? When you are here means that here is a safe place. Because there were a moment where we cannot run the LARP because there were some problems, but we are constantly in contact, so there is no problem for us to run it, but I received this very delightful thing. There are a lot of other stories, but it's for later, let's say, because I will, if you want in private, I mean, at the bar we can tell you how I attend a 6-year-old birthday party for 8 hours and come back with piece of cake instead of what I need. And the people are like, yeah, we don't find it, but still eat the cake. Then during the pandemic, we create this online LARP that was called Animus, and was one of the, when I really was touched deeply in my heart from the LARP community, and vice versa, because they were in the middle of the lockdown all over the world. So they were not possible to play, not possible to connect with the other, to go outside. I think we all remember those hard days. And as a way for us to stay together, we say, with my friends of Chaos League, say, let's meet online and create what help us always in our life. Let's do a LARP. And we create this LARP, and we, as a designer, was very important, because we want to create a LARP that was about friendship, that was deep, that was about sharing your loneliness with the other, an intense LARP experience, but online, without physical presence. And also LARPing online at the time was new for almost everyone. So for us was very important, and we create that and we advertise that, and everybody wants to play the LARP because people felt really, really long. We have 500 players to play this online LARP. And also, this was also very important for us. This makes us understand that we need to go on and to work on safety and inclusion, but still there is a lot of people from some categories that still don't feel safe to go to a LARP, or feel intimidated, or feel not welcome. So for us was really, we all talk about safety and inclusion, and luckily we are doing a lot, but there is still a lot more to be done. And we discovered by looking at the data of this LARP. Of course, it was 500 people, but they played in group of 6. Those one was just for the GM, so 6 or 7, it depends. And people also play from all over the world. You have people in Hong Kong play with people from New York or from Tunisia, Italy, Spain. I mean, basically more than 40 countries. So this was very, very, very deep and very important to us. And then, okay, this we can skip it, and we go through Zoo. This is very important. We didn't run this LARP in English, but maybe we'll do one day. This is our LARP about capitalism and what happens when you give up on your principle because you need to achieve your things. The idea and the name come from the fact that in this LARP, progressively you lose your human feature, and progressively, the LARP is very short, it's 1.5 days. The last scene, basically, every character is assigned to a different group of animals. You have the rhinos, the vultures, the snakes, the monkeys, and because the owner of this company won't really think that Wall Street is really a jungle, and you need to be the alpha animals. So all the LARP is about succeed at any cost. It's also emotionally very, very heavy, and you start as a human, became a beast. So progressively, you are not longer allowed to move like a human, then to talk like a human. the last scene that lasts 30 minutes, more or less, you have 50 people in a room that is like half of this room, and they are all behave like animals. Talking on the phone, dancing, you have people crawling. In the end, you have this terrible dystopia of people behave like animals. Those are some of the pictures. There is a cage coming from the outside that separate the two groups in this case. Basically, yeah, you know, the monkeys and the stuff, and money, of course, and there is a rage room where people can actually go and destroy stuff, and also what is very important for this LARP, since we learn that if you are play someone evil, then you start to sympathize with them and forgot about the deepness of the reflection you can have. We, as you can see, a lot of players are talking on the phone here, for example. There is a lot of phones here and there, because the main thing you have to do is to sell stock option, okay? Penny stock, so the crappy one. Basically, you are screwing people. You are taking money from them and give nothing back. So half of the player in the work shift are the sellers. The other half of the player go in another room and play the buyer, so you get screwed. And then they switch. We want player to explore the both thing. I'm very cool, I screwed this guy, and then you are on the other side and you know what's going on. So basically, this is the game. And then very quickly, through Miskatonic University, because it is the most recent one, we played that in Poland, and we will play that again in next year in Philadelphia, because we found a suitable campus, and we will play that. Those are the interior of the castle. Those are some of the picture, rituals, and this is, of course, a Cthulhu Mythos related LARP with what you can imagine will happen at the Miskatonic University. I put more picture because they look very cool. So this was pretty much everything. Thank you for listening. Thank you for empowering all the designer when you play, and thank you for design LARP if you design. Thank you for play LARP if you play LARP, and also thank you all Ropecon, give me so much love, so I love you back. So Rakastana Sinua. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are short on time, so if you have a question, I will be at the bar. I will be glad to talk with you. Okay? Thank you very much.